Hey, everybody. Hello, hello. Put in the chat if you can hear me. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to officially, since we have our timer on here, give people a little bit more time to come in. But again, if you could hear me, put a one in the chat for me. Let me know you can hear me. I'm using Restream tonight, which I haven't used in a long time. So put a one in the chat. I am on YouTube. I see everybody on YouTube. I see people in Facebook. Hello, hello. The one in the chat if you can hear me. Oh, perfect. I hope everyone's doing well today. There's a lot of economic news happening out there, so we are going to talk about it. Hello to Beck Tony. Hello to Who Is. Hello to Tawana. Hello, everybody. Don't forget to put your city and state in the chat so we can know where you are coming from officially. I want to give people, we sent out an email to our community, so I want to give them another 13 seconds to get in here. All right. It is time to begin. Hello, everybody. Hello, Tawana from DC. We have here Houston, Texas in the house. Hello, hello. Hampton, Virginia. Good to see you tonight. So, there's a lot of stuff happening in the economy. First thing I'm going to say is I am not an economist and I am not a financial advisor. Everything I'm talking about tonight just so happens to be, first of all, because I love listening to this type of news. I want to share more of a message of hope with everyone. As I've been talking to different people, as I've been seeing what's happening on the news, as the White House supposedly changed the definition of what a recession is, and some people are calling it and some people aren't, and there's just a lot of confusion out there. It brought me back to a time in 2009 when my mother was growing her business. I had decided to leave my corporate job and I had decided to join her in that business. And we belonged to a group called BNI, which stands for Business Network International. And they gave us these buttons that we would wear all the time. And the button said, I am not participating in the recession. And as I was listening to all of the chatter today in the news about the recession, what it is, what it means, who is going to hurt. Yes, we know that when white America gets a cough, Black America gets pneumonia. We know that. However, that doesn't mean that we have to. There are things that we can do. So there's a part of tonight that I'm going to talk about, like what's happening, period. I'm going to show you a couple of articles, read a couple of things to you. Let you see a video from the White House. Actually, I have two videos from the White House. But the majority of tonight's session is okay, but that doesn't mean that your household has to have a recession. You could actually thrive in this time. And what we're going to talk about tonight is some of the ways that you are going to be able to do that, because Warren Buffett ain't going through a recession. Jeff Bezos ain't going through a recession. Name whatever rich billionaire you know, multimillionaire, Elon Musk. You all put people in the chat who you know are not going through a recession. And when you're putting people in the chat, please add your name to it. I want to see who is not going through a recession, because Cherie is not going through a recession. I'm claiming it in the name of Jesus. Not only that, I'm making moves. I'm doing things in my life to increase right now. And you don't have to. You don't have to go through a recession. You can thrive. So let's first of all talk about some of the news that happened today and I am going to share my screen with you, and we are going to talk about the news that happened today with regards to GDP falling 0.9% in the second quarter. This was announced earlier today. It was announced this morning. This is the second straight decline and a strong signal of recession. Now, so one of the things that happens in the economy is that if you, this is the rule, the way the rule is supposed to be, is if you have 2 quarters of negative GDP, then you are technically in a recession. Well, about a week ago, journalists started saying that the White House changed the definition of a recession. I saw another video that said that the definition was always that of a, that it wasn't just negative GDP growth, it was all sorts of other stuff. I'm here to say I'm as confused as you are, and I don't care because we're not participating in that, right? We're aware that it's around us. We're aware that our family may have to pinch our pennies a little bit more, but that doesn't mean that we have to that we can't be richer after recession is over. So again, the key points from this: gross domestic product fell 0.9%. That follows a 1.6% decline in the first quarter and was worse than the Dow Jones estimate for a gain of 0.3%. I don't know why the Dow Jones thought there was going to be a gain. Apparently, their model was broken because everybody else thought that there was going to be a loss, but okay, right? The drop came from a broad swath of factors, including decreases in inventories, residential and non residential investment, and government spending. Got a couple of things highlighted here for you. The US economy contracted for the second straight quarter from April to June, hitting a widely accepted rule of thumb for a recession, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis. That's their report from today. Gross domestic product fell 0.9% at an annualized pace for the period. That follows a 1.6% decline in the first quarter. Officially, the National Bureau of Economic Research declares recessions and expansions and likely won't make a judgment on the period in question for months, if not longer. So apparently, this organization, NBER, the National Bureau of Economic Research, who, if this is new to you, it's new to me too. I did not know that. Y'all gonna be surprised. I thought that these people were the government. They're not. About NBER, this is a private, nonpartisan organization that facilitates cutting edge investigation and analysis of major economic issues. I thought the government, y'all got to see my face for this. I thought the government I thought the government was in charge of calling the recession. It's some private think tank group out here who's in charge of this. Y'all, really? So apparently Margaret is not participating in the recession. I love it. I love it. So let's continue with the article here and reading all about this. All right. So NBER is declaring a recession potentially, but apparently it's not going to be announced for potentially months. So, my thought around this is they're going to wait until the midterm elections, which I don't know why, because the Democrats are may get slaughtered in that. But hey, this is what they're doing here in the economy. A separate report Thursday showed that layoffs remain elevated. Initial jobless claims totaled 256,000 for the week ended July 23rd, which is a decline of 5,000. So people are still getting hired. In fact, there are 11.4 million open jobs. I checked it this morning. 11.4 million open jobs out there. But I will tell you something else that I saw, and I'm going to come back on screen here. I'll tell you something else that I heard in a presidential briefing today, which I'm going to show you a piece of it. The visas for the immigrants lifted, And what I heard in that press briefing is they're also lifting restrictions for them getting the jab. So, uh, you know, so if you were thinking of getting a certification, if you're thinking of getting into tech, we interviewed last week a woman from launchcode.org. We have all sorts of people coming in to talk about tech. If you, as a Black American, are not going to take these jobs, they're going to import this labor. This is an optimal time for you to not participate in a recession. And if you need to skill up, this is a great time for you to do so. And that's one of the things that the 10K project is committed to, is bringing you resources to make more money, to manage it, to multiply it, and to preserve it. So let's continue with the article. Alrighty then. So the decline in GDP came from a broad swath of factors, including decreases in inventories, residential and non residential investment, and government spending at the federal, state, and local levels. So they have decreases in these, but they're still spending a lot of money. In fact, they're still spending so much money that they're trying to lessen the amount of money that people are spending in order to slow down and tamper inflation. So, gross private domestic investment tumbled 13.5% for the 3 month period. And I think that's all that I had here. So, I want to play for you Corinne, Karine Pierre. She is the White House secretary. This happened earlier today. And this is her comment about the recession. Could y'all hear that? Put a two in the chat if you could hear that. I want to make sure that this is working, that the sound was working. The United States is basically saying there is no recession. Now, I don't blame her. She is the spokesperson. She is the one who comes out and says whatever it was. Okay, you're saying no sound. That happened before. Let me try it in another window here. Um, Give me a second and see, because I want you to hear what she says. I want you to hear her comments. So let's try this one here.
We're looking at the facts. We're looking at the other economic indicators, the strong labor market. As I just listed out, we had 21 states last week where we saw unemployment was at 3% or lower. So everything that we are seeing currently right now does not show that we are in a recession. We're looking at the facts. We're looking at the other economic indicators, the strong labor market. As I just listed out, we had 21 states last week where we saw unemployment was at 3% or lower. So everything that we are seeing currently right now does not show that we are in a recession. We're looking at the facts. We're looking at.
Okay, was that better? That second time I played it, was that better? Unfortunately, I can't like toggle between the two. Yeah, okay, perfect, perfect. Alrighty then. So I was saying, look, I don't blame this woman, right? At all. She is the messenger. She is the messenger. The US government understands that we have concerns, but for whatever reason, they're not calling the recession. And because of that, there's a lot of fear mongering happening. Some of it rightfully so, because if you're on a fixed income, if you're elderly, for example, if you have a pension or something like that, and um, you're not getting an increase, then that can be quite scary because you're not able to buy as much at the grocery store and things like that. However, if you're a working adult, if you have an opportunity to make some moves, whether it's getting a better job, starting a side hustle, starting a side business, buying businesses, things like that, the next 24, 36 months, you could double your income, you could change tax brackets, etc. So, one of the things that Kareen said in that video is that there are some states that are showing less than 3% unemployment. Now, with unemployment, based on the way that it's calculated, it may be dependent on who's looking for a job versus who's actually unemployed. But, you know, they're doing all sorts of stuff in order to say that there is no recession right now. They are also, they are also um, willing to risk jobs. That's right. They're willing to risk jobs and they're willing to risk a slowdown in the economy to get inflation under control. And I was on a panel actually a week and a half ago where, we all agreed that the majority of those jobs may be Black jobs, maybe Black people losing their jobs. So, in this time period, because this time period is still recessionary. If you are uninformed, you're going to get crushed. If you are unskilled, you're going to get crushed. And if you are unmotivated, you're going to get crushed. So, what do I mean by that? If you're uninformed, if you are not around a network of people who are talking about these things and figuring out, hey, what are you investing in? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, did you hear that piece of information? Hey, I wonder how that piece of information is going to affect me and my portfolio, in my living, in my job, then you are going to lose out. If you are unskilled, you're going to have some issues over time. Listen, y'all know how I feel about my robots. The robots are coming. I should have pulled up the article. There was an increase in robots being purchased by these corporations, more than they had forecasted. I had shown it on the 10K project before. If you are unskilled, one of the best things you want to do if you are not intending to participate in this recession is to get skilled, become skilled labor. And we're continuously featuring people who are talking about different careers you can get into. Um, we are also bringing on people who are talking about different businesses you can start, etc. But get some skills. And yes, entrepreneurship is a skill. Starting a business is a skill. Growing a business is a skill. So we want you to get skilled. If you are unmotivated during this recessionary period, you will get crushed. Because even though I'm going to show you in another clip, Marriott CEO talking, and he said that people are still traveling, people are still buying, companies are still hiring. There are 11.4 million jobs open right now. Companies are starting to want to train people face to face and live, and they expect face to face events to go up. Even though all of those things are happening, if you're not in the game, if you are unmotivated, you're going to get crushed in the recession. If you're starting a business, you will have to talk to 3 to 10 times the amount of people in order to make the same amount of money than you would have had to a year or two ago. That's just the way that it is. But understanding that and understanding how you are able to move is what's going to be beneficial to you and your family so that you don't have to participate in a recession. So, I'm going to show you a couple more articles here. Uh, Thank you to Talisha for passing this on to me. This is from CNBC. GDP dips, sparking recession fears, but don't confuse the headlines with the reality. An expert says, here's what's really happening. So, this was earlier today. Um, we already talked about the National Bureau of Economic Research is in charge of declaring recessions and expansions and likely won't make a judgment for months. And when it does, GDP, which is a broad measure of economic activity, will only be one of the many factors the Bureau's economists will consider. Great, you may be thinking, but what do I do in the meantime? This is one of my favorite articles because it's actually talking about solutions. While it's worth making sure you're prepared financially for economic turmoil, the most important move may be simply not to panic and not to make big changes to your investing strategy. I will say this: talk to your financial advisor. Talk to your financial advisor with regards to that piece um, of advice because you may have to change your investment strategy. Hey, Latrice, good to see you. Hey, Marvin. Good vibes. I'm loving this talk. Thank you so much. Cinderella in the house. Thank you, Latrice, for saying like and share this video. Thank you so much. Okay, you may have to talk to your financial advisor. You may have to change strategies, and that's okay. If you need financial coaching, financial planning, we have our um, partnership with Freeman Capital. You come to the10kproject.com, the10kproject.com, and you are able to sign up for 6 months of customized one on one assistance in order to help you get through this recessionary period. If Freeman Capital is not a good fit for you, there are a lot of other options out there. Please find us someone who is licensed, experienced, and knows what the hell they're talking about. But that specific piece of advice, when I read it, I wanted to caution you to say, talk to your financial advisor. Don't be afraid to give them a call about your specific situation. So, recession or no, don't confuse the headlines with underlying data. There is a saying in news: if it bleeds, it leads. These people are going to say recession, recession, recession. Nobody's buying anything, nobody's doing anything, the world is falling apart, etc. Do not confuse the headlines with the underlying data. Read the articles, get educated. If you're frightened by the thought of a recession, it's worth taking a step back and considering what you're actually afraid of. Are you expecting trouble for you personally or for the economy as a whole? If you are not worried about yourself, maybe you do not need to worry about that. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And I will say this as well. Some of us have concerns because we have certain family members that depend on us or that come to us when things are going not such a great way. Factoring that in when you are coming up with your recession plan is going to be important. Factoring that in as you are talking to your loved ones, as you are talking with your financial advisors, is going to be an important thing as well. Okay, we're almost done with this article. Your first line of defense is always an emergency fund, or I will say is an emergency fund. This is according to this article, which financial experts say should ideally cover 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. You should be mindful of your debt situation as well. Many of you know that the Fed has increased the interest rate another 75 basis points, which means 0.75%. So your minimum credit card payments are going to go up. Your credit card payments are going to go up because the interest is going up. When it comes to your portfolio, don't go outside of the bounds of the plan you already have in place. Again, talk to your financial advisor about this piece of advice because it may be different for you. If negative numbers on your brokerage page are keeping you tossing and turning at night, it may make sense to take less risk in your portfolio by reducing your allocation of stocks. Again, I will say this: talk to your financial advisor because every situation is completely different. Thank you, Latrice. Subscribe to this channel as well to stay updated with great information weekly. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to have lots of resources coming. We already have lots of resources on the channels here and in our Facebook group. Thank you, Latrice. Okay, so you can walk away from participating in the recession. And I'm glad Marvin is here because Marvin remembers the BNI times where I refused to participate in the recession. Those were the big buttons that we had. And, we were just like, business, you will have to work harder, but business is going to continue to happen, right? Um, you can walk away, you can say no, and you can thrive during this period of time. So, I want to show you something else here. Let's see here. Do I have it? Since you all weren't able to hear on my Google, give me a second, everybody. I want you to listen to this. It's stuff like this is dry, but I was talking to Tawana about this yesterday, and the truth is that sometimes the most boring stuff, the driest stuff, gives you like the best information. And I was listening to another content creator talking about that yesterday. She was like, yeah, I see Jerome Powell, who is the Fed chair, talking, but it's boring and I don't want to listen to it. And she's like, I'm going to have to start listening to those things. Let me tell you, the reason that people get richer is because they're listening to the boring stuff. They're not listening to the gossip. They're not listening to sports 24/7. They're listening to the boring stuff. So I'm going to show you something that I found today, and I'm also going to try to put it in the chat everywhere for you as well. There was a White House meeting. Let me show you my screen here. Um, okay. The White House discussion with CEOs and labor leaders on the economy. This was a meeting that happened today. The people that were in that meeting, the people that were listening to that meeting, look, there's a lot of information that was shared during this type of meeting or during these types of meetings. But this is the core information that we need to be better investors, to know what stocks that we want to get into, what industries we want to be a part of, how to run our businesses, etc. I specifically want to play for you what the CEO of Marriott said. Now, I will say this. When you listen to this entire thing, there was a lot of, oh, you're so great, Mr. President. You're so wonderful, Mr. President. I'm like, okay, y'all are laying it on thick in here. But outside of that, a lot of the information that they were giving with regards to this briefing was really helpful with regards to knowing what's happening in the economy. And the truth is that a lot of people are still spending money, both consumers as well as businesses. So I'm going to move my cursor here and let's hear what Marriott has to say.
I appreciate it a great deal. And now I have a question for the CEO of Marriott, who is very disappointed to hear they're investing in travel now. It's a great concern to Tony. Tony, the travel and hospitality industry is experiencing, it did experience tremendous hardship during the pandemic. But the recovery now is experiencing is a very different experience. It's things look really up for your industry right now. And how would you describe the industry today? And how do you see the path of demand through the end of the year? I know that's you can't nothing's guaranteed, but what's your sense?
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for the invitation today. I think what we've learned over the last couple of quarters is really the resilience of travel. And when we look at our forward booking data, we see real evidence of that resilience. And what's interesting, we think about our business through three demand segments: leisure, business travel, and group. The recovery has clearly been led by leisure. And in fact, last year, leisure demand got back to where we were pre-pandemic. But what's encouraging is we're seeing real recovery in the other two segments. Business transient's been a slower recovery, But as we see more and more folks returning to the office, we see continued improvement. And maybe the biggest surprise has been the pace at which group demand has come back. And group, correct. And we fully expected social group to recover quickly with all of the canceled weddings and bar mitzvahs and family reunions. But now we're seeing strong and consistent recovery in business group travel as well. So
Okay, so that's the first thing. I'm going to play more of this for you because it's really good. So this is the CEO of Marriott. Marriott is talking about the fact that they are seeing a lot more business group travel. Here's one of the things about business when people start talking about how about the importance of business travel. Most businesses have more money to spend. They will spend more on the cocktail parties, they'll spend more for the VIP rooms, etc. So what he's saying here is that they're better than expected with regards to business travel. People ain't traveling for business without expecting business to be done. Hope y'all are hearing that. People are not paying for business travel without expecting business to be done. So if they're investing, if these businesses are investing in business travel and group business travel, then they are expecting to actually still continue to have a great enough economy. And that means for your economy, your personal economy, that you are able to take advantage of this. If you are doing business to business sales, if you're trying to do business with mid-sized companies, Fortune 500 companies, the money is going to be out there. Leverage your minority status, get your certifications, get in the door. You will have to work 10 times harder in order to get seen and because the budgets are still there. But this Marriott CEO is saying that these companies are spending money. And I'm going to continue playing this for you. I know this is dry, but I'm going to continue playing this for you because he has a lot of nuggets in here that we are able to really capitalize on. So let's continue.
quite encouraging. We get lots of questions about what's driving this recovery in the face of rising interest rates, high inflation environment, fuel prices, and the like. But I think there's a series of factors. You and Brian both touched on one, which is the elevated savings rates we see across the country. There continues to be deep pent-up demand as a result of the pandemic.
So let's talk about the savings rate. So the Bank of America CEO was on before the Marriott CEO. And the Bank of America CEO said that the savings have gone up, that their average, the average household income of their account holders is $100,000, and the savings for these individuals have gone up. They also have noticed that the delinquencies in the credit cards are not as bad as they thought that they would be, etc. So this is what he's referring to. People still have money to spend. Consumers still have money to spend, and businesses still have money to spend. Let's continue.
I think there's a bit of a psychographic shift away from consumption of hard goods towards investment in experiences, which is helping our business a great deal.
Okay, so you all heard that. People are moving away from consumption of goods to investing in experiences. So if you have that type of business, you are poised right now to do well. Okay. That doesn't mean if you have a product to abandon it. I don't think that's what he's saying. That's not what I'm saying. It is to say, though, that if you are doing any kind of tour groups or things like that, the demand is probably going to be there for you as well.
And then when we look on a global basis, the continued opening of borders, easing of restrictions that restricted travel is having a massive impact on our global business. And maybe I'll just close by thanking your administration and in particular, Secretary Raimondo for your work to eliminate the inbound international testing requirement.
Y'all heard that, right? Y'all heard that the inbound testing requirements have been eliminated. I was saying this to you before. Some of you are new in here. I was saying before that there's 11.4 million jobs open right now. We as Americans, we as Black Americans, if we're not going to fill those positions, they're going to import that labor. You still have a chance to get your certifications and get into tech, get into construction, etc. Either we're going to take those jobs or they're going to import people. And before they had to only import people with vax, now they're saying, you heard it, the Marriott CEO just thank you, Mr. President. They don't have to have the jab anymore. Are we as a people going to be complaining 10 years later? They coming in here and taking everything, or are we going to position ourselves to be able to take advantage of this? Latrice is saying people are shifting their priorities, wanting to enjoy each other instead of buying things. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. I only have a little bit more of this to show you. I thought this was a really good session that they had here. So let's continue.
We think that's going to be very impactful on the travel and tourism sector. And in fact, the U.S. Travel Association just came out and said they expect the direct impact of that change to be an incremental more than 5 million visitors to the U.S. in the balance of this year, spending more than $9 billion.
$9 billion coming into the United States because of that one incremental change. Let's continue.
Well, that, I mean, that sounds pretty encouraging overall, not just for this summer, but looking forward. One of the things I want to ask you about is that the obviously the pandemic had a profound negative impact, but right now, as I look out there, and I've traveled around the world a lot of late, going to various conferences, um, there, there seems to be a willingness or an inclination for business to travel more. To instead of everybody sitting and zooming everything, it seems to me in-person movement of personnel in businesses around the country, and I see it more around the world, quite frankly.
Listen closely to this as he responds to it. He's talking about people getting off Zoom and getting and traveling and going to meet each other face to face.
Seems to be on the up. Is that accurate, or is that just a perception?
President. And in fact, we see two principal drivers. I think number one, businesses that are customer facing, consulting firms, law firms, accounting firms, they will tell you that the best way for them to optimize their business is to be in person, embedded in their customers' offices every day. And I think the last few years have reminded us of the power of in-person interaction. The other thing we see is rapidly growing demand for training. Many employers across this country rely heavily on the strength of their corporate culture. And as they're hiring thousands of new employees, it's really hard to immerse those employees in a culture via Teams or Zoom. And so the demand we see rising for in-person training has been quite significant.
Did you all hear that? Did you hear that? That was the CEO of Marriott. I know it was dry, I know it was boring, but this is where you pick up the real gems. If you have a training company, if you have a training company, you, based on what he just said, you could do very well. If you teach anything, you could do very well. If you help organize any kind of events, any kind of team events, any kind of HR, You know, these companies are hiring thousands of people and they're trying to immerse them into the culture, any kind of team building things. These are the types of things that we should listen to. This is why you don't have to participate in the recession, because the money is out there. The money is going to be spent. Again, I said it before. These people are not putting all of these people on planes, in hotels, you know, because they don't think that there's going to be no money made. One of the things that the CEO of Marriott said is, you look at consultants and accountants, they that are customer facing, they know that that is the best way for them to do business. They're not getting on a plane, staying in a hotel for 3 days, and not expecting a check. Put a three in the chat if you hear me. If you hear me, like, you do not have to participate in this recession. Latrice is saying, exactly. My company believes the same. They want to be face to face with clients and customers. I'm telling you, one of the things I'm doing right now, I have a couple of conferences that I'm planning to go to in September. I need assistance for school. We have a lot of resources on our channel, Extra Money. You are able to definitely take a look at that. Hey, Raf, 10K Project with the good content as always. Thank you so much. Thank you. Latrice is saying apply for scholarships or attend YT University. Hey, YouTube University. Definitely. So y'all hear me. I got the threes in the chat here. Thank you so much. Y'all look. You don't have to participate in a recession. Marriott isn't. Not only was Marriott on that call or that meeting, it's only 30 minutes, y'all, to take a look at it. Um, it's the White House discussion with CEOs and labor leaders on the economy. 32 minutes, right? So, Bank of America, CEO of Bank of America was on there. Somebody from Deloitte was on there. Manufacturing, they talked about with the CEO of Corning. They talked about fiber optics. I didn't get to hear it all, but of what I heard, there were a lot of gems in there. And if you're listening, you will know what industries potentially to invest in. I'm not a financial advisor, so check with your financial advisor, but you would listen to what industries to potentially invest in, where to put your money with regards to stocks, what kind of stock options to buy, what kind of businesses you could start, businesses you could grow, people you could partner with, etc. Latrice is asking me to put the link in the chat. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for the reminder. Give me a sec. Here we go. Here it is, Latrice. Thanks for the reminder. And there you go in Facebook as well. All right. So I did put the YouTube link in there. Yeah. So look, if they ain't participating in the recession, neither am I. Neither am I. So what do we need to do? What do we need to do? You can get richer after the recession than before the recession. Number one thing is to make sure that your income in whatever way is straight, right? So I was listening to a podcast the other week and they said that CEOs and companies are getting rid of, meaning firing or laying off, unproductive people or people who are representing products that are not selling right now, or people who are working in what they call unproductive markets or markets that aren't buying, right? If you are unproductive at work, all I can say is get productive, right? If you are unproductive at work, get productive. This is all I can say. Hey, Candy Apple, thanks for being here. If, However, because I know my people, y'all are productive at work. But I will say this: if you are in a department that is not productive, figure out how you can switch departments. Potentially, obviously, everyone's situation is different, but look, you don't want to get swept up in an unproductive department. If you are representing a product, but the product is not doing very well, see if you can you know, move to a product that will thrive during this period of time. Okay. You could also get better job. You could get a better job. So, um, we have a couple of people coming on to talk about getting better jobs. Number one is that um, I have been talking to some people, some resume writers. I found two that are really, really good. They're not just resume writers, they're career transition coaches. So let's say that you're unskilled labor right now and you're trying to move to being skilled labor. Then I have two people coming, Yolanda and Rick. They are coming to the 10K project to talk to us about um, how to change positions. And I had the date in here, but I cannot find it right now. I didn't write it down on my list, so I apologize for that, everybody. Yeah, I can't find it right now, but they are coming. They are confirmed. Beyond that, though, you are able to say, you know what, I want to make a move. And if you want to make a move in, you know, changing careers and things like that, I would really suggest this is where you have to invest in yourself, investing in somebody who can help you with that career transition, that job transition. There are a lot of tools right now that can help you get past the applicant tracking system. There were things I didn't even know. I was talking with one of the career transition coaches, and she was showing me all of these tools that are out there right now. If you cannot get past the applicant tracking system, past the recruiter, past the HR person to get to the hiring manager, you are going to have a hard time leveling up, increasing your income. You could increase your income $20,000, $30,000 with the right resume, the right answers during an interview. Invest in those things. Invest in getting a better job. You know you've been at that job making $60,000 for 17 years when you should be making 85,000. I am asking you to believe in yourself. Do not participate in the recession. $25,000 bump could be where you are if you believe in yourself. So, number one, do the research. We do have Yolanda and Rick coming. I know it's in the next month. I just can't seem to find the date right now. But you don't have to wait for them to come. You can decide to level up your job. You can decide to get a better job. You can decide to start a new business. There are a couple of ways you could do it. You could start a side hustle. You could do things on Fiverr or Upwork. Or you could start a business where you intend to have, team members, grow it to $1 million, $5 million, $20 million. Some of the most successful businesses were started during a recession. Apple was started during a recession. Uber was started during a recession. Airbnb was started during a recession. You can start your business. It could be a side hustle, which is right now perfectly fine, or it could be something that you are growing. I will say two things about starting a business. Number one is you're going to have to invest in lead generation, in getting leads. The more you are going to have to, in a recessionary period, talk to more leads in order to close the necessary amount of sales. You're going to have to do that. That's a requirement. So if you need to make more income in a job in order to do that, then that's what you need to do. If you need to ask your family, hey family, let's come together. There's a lot of opportunities out here. Let's all come together, put some money in a pot and start this business and I will run it, then that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. I have a gentleman coming on, I did write this down, August 10th. He started his government contracting business less than a year ago, already has two government contracts. He's coming on August 10th to talk to us about how he did it. His name is Coach K. He's a super laid back guy, really nice guy. You all are going to love it. The government is still going to be spending billions and billions and billions of dollars. Why don't you get your share? You can get your share. Latrice is saying, also see if your employer will reimburse you. Okay. Deshaun is saying, love it. Thank you so much. If you can't get your families together, recruit friends and coworkers. Hey, get some new family. Get some new family. Get some new friends, right? So you can start a business and you can grow during this recessionary period. You could also get a rental, two rentals, etc. BlackRock is not buying everything. BlackRock isn't buying everything. They're buying a lot. These hedge funds are buying a lot. These private equity firms are buying a lot, but they're not buying everything. You may have to, instead of looking at 100 properties, you may have to look at 300. But you could buy a rental. You could buy two rentals. You could buy tax deeds and uh, foreclose on the property. Know what you're doing. I can tell you that much. I will say one more thing as well. Be careful of the renters you're getting, because a lot of renters during recessionary periods are may look good on paper, but they may not be the best with regards to renting from you, taking care of your property, etc. But you are able to you can own two rentals at the end of this recession and have $1,000 net coming in, $2,000 net coming in, etc. You can own stocks. You can grow your stock portfolio. Now, again, all of these things take income though, which is why I started on income. Either get a job or start a business or start a side hustle. But you're able to start investing, and you are able to invest in stocks. We have Jonathan coming back on August 1st, so that's Monday. He's coming to talk about stocks, stock investing. He was the one that told us about capital trades, which I use, so we could see how Nancy Pelosi and her husband are investing. What are they investing? These people are in the committee meetings. They're going home, laying up with their spouses, telling the spouses this is what happened, that's what happened, etc. The spouses are buying these stocks. It's all public, it's all legal, it ain't changing. My question is, why don't we ride the wave with them? Not financial advice, I should say. I'm just saying it as an observation. If Nancy Pelosi is the most powerful chick in Washington, D.C., and she's in these meetings, she knows everything, and her husband is buying something, and his stock portfolio has gone up astronomically, there are people that are going to complain about it, or there are people who are going to say, hmm, let me look at that a little bit closer. Yeah, Latrice, we need to learn how to do it. We need to learn how they do it. We need to ride with them. Absolutely. I am not ashamed to say that. I've looked at that website a couple of times. It's still a little bit in beta, but there's a Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. I'm sure that there are places we could go and see all this. What I like about that website is that they tell you what committees they're on. They also have their link directly to their Twitter accounts, so you can see what they're tweeting about and things like that. We need to learn how to play the game, right? So Jonathan is coming on Monday, August 1st. We also, on August 1st, on Monday, with Jonathan, have a woman coming on named Romy, who paid off all of her student debt in 2.5 years, 2.5 years. She paid off all of her student debt. When I saw it on LinkedIn, I immediately messaged her. I need you to come, because some of us do have a debt issue. Some of us have a debt issue. and we need to be able to pay off that debt. You, we could be at the end of this recession and you could have paid off 30, 40, $50,000 of consumer debt. You could be free. Marvin is saying, turn your product into an experience. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. That didn't come from me. That came from the CEO of Marriott. He's the CEO of Marriott is sitting there on YouTube with the President of the United States saying, this is what's happening. Why wouldn't we listen to him? Take his advice. Absolutely. So you could buy a business. We have spoken before about buying businesses. Tawana has OEO investments, so you are able to reach out to her. If you want to passively be a passive investor, if you want to be an active investor, Robin Mansell is coming on August 29th to talk about how you can actively buy businesses with none of your own money. 10K Project members bought a business. In fact, you can go through our YouTube channel, find that video, 10K Project members bought a business, and watch that. You could have a whole new life. You could buy a business with cash flow coming in already. You do not have to participate in the recession, but there are going to be some business owners participating in the recession that are going to want to sell, and they probably will give you very good, what do you call it, terms. You'll have to talk to quite a few of them. You will have to talk to quite a few of them, but you can do it. You may end up with a business that's paying you $60,000 a year that you put none of your own money into. You just took it over. You tweaked a couple of things. You know social media. You know lead generation. You know how to make things more operationally efficient. You increase that income. Latrice is saying, especially if it's legal, we don't need illegal activities, no extra problem. Hello? None. There's too much money out here that we could get legitimately to be doing illegal stuff. Another thing I will say, if you are getting any kind of bank loans or anything like that, do not lie on your paperwork. I know that there are content creators out there that are encouraging you to say false things, put false income on your documents, etc. I believe my black butt would be the first one in jail. So I do not lie on any kind of loan documents. My IRS, the IRS is hiring 50 to 60,000 agents. They are coming after you. If you've been underreporting and all of that, don't do that. There's too much money out there. Not participating in the recession means that we go out and we make more money. Thank you, Tammy, for being here. Latrice is saying, yes, becoming debt free is the ultimate goal. That is my big goal. My big goal is I have a little over $500,000 in debt, including my home. My big goal is, I'll tell y'all what my plan is. My plan is to make the move I'm going to make, which I'll announce when I'm done making it. Make $300,000 a year. 100,000 is for me to live on comfortably because I like to travel, I like to eat well, things like that. $100,000 is going into debt repayment, and $100,000 is going into boosting up my investment portfolio. That's my goal. That's my plan. That's my plan. So Tammy is saying, what? Whatever I said. Yeah. I don't know what I said. Latrice is saying, what's the link to the website you suggested about watching what the rich invest in? I don't know if I said that tonight. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I said. Sorry, Latrice. Maybe you could rewind it. Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about capital trades. Capital trades. Yes. Hold on a second. Now I know. It's what the politicians invest in. Uh, Let me show it to you here. And this isn't mine. This is Jonathan showed us this. So this is what's trading on Capitol Hill is what it is. So what you're able to do is you're able to come in and see the politicians and see what they're buying. So the biggest players, these are the people that are trading the most. You've got your Republicans here and your Democrats, what state they're in, etc. And then I'm able to click on here. Let's check out this Michael guy. He's done 6,757 trades. Last trade that is in here is on 6/30, so that was a month ago. You got his Twitter feed in here. You're able to see what he's buying and what he's selling. Sometimes it'll even tell you like what committees he's on, etc. So, um, like he's buying, he bought Avery Dennison. You must also see what they're selling. He bought Accenture. Wonder why? Accenture is a huge contractor, government contractor. He bought Five Below, probably because he's expecting more people to spend in those types of businesses, etc. So, yeah, so capitaltrades.com, you're able to see what people are buying, what people are selling, etc. So, yeah. Uh, Yeah, thank you so much. Nice thing. Look, I'm serious. The move I'm making is like, okay, what's going to be the best way for me to do this? So, um, thank you so much, everybody, for your comments. I love it. We were talking about Jonathan, about what John. Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so a couple other things you can invest in. You can also um, we have a woman coming on that helps people get seven-figure grants for like building housing and things like that. Her name is Beverly. She is awesome. My hairstylist told me about her. She was on Clubhouse talking about grants and she played me a little bit of the session. I was like, I have got to get this. I literally left my stylist looking good as I always do. I came into my office. I found her information. I was like, can you come to the 10K project? She called me that afternoon, y'all. We got her book to come. Her name is Beverly Burgess. She is coming on August 8th. If you are not participating in the recession, you want to hang out with people like us because we are doing it. We are growing. There's no reason that Black wealth needs to be zero by 2053, especially in your home. No need. But we're going to have to be honest with ourselves. We're going to have to turn off the gossip. We're going to have to turn off the sports. We're going to have to start connecting with each other, start getting together in masterminds, start talking with each other about how we are going to navigate this thing and actually put things into action within our own lives. So I want to encourage you to do a couple of things. Number one, if you are not a part of our Facebook community, Tawana and Talisha and the other team members work really hard to provide great content for you. So I would suggest you consider if you're on Facebook, Black 10K Project is our group. You do not have to be a member, but there's a lot of great conversations that happen daily there. Also, personal financial coaching. If you need assistance, go to the10kproject.com, and get 6 months of financial um, of one-on-one customized financial planning for you and your family. So it can be a family affair. If you need to learn how to make more money, we have a ton of resources on our YouTube page and in the Knowledge Center. Please, if you and you instinctively know this, if you know if you are making the amount of money that you should be making at your job. If you are not, people who are unskilled are going to get crushed. Okay? So please do that. Check out our free resources. We have everything from how to make six figures as an electrician, how to make six figures in doing appliance repair. So all of my trades people, all the way to how to get into technology sales and how to get into tech itself, etc. So, no excuses. Um, you can also get access to other resources that we have. We're hopefully going to have some more masterminds starting in the fall, but we are working on those things behind the scene. I was here longer than I expected to be, but I was compelled to do this conversation today. So 10K is doing the doggone thing. I salute you, ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you, Latrice. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for being here. Um, don't participate in the recession. That's the biggest thing. The10kproject.com if you want to be around like minded people. Thank you, Candy Apple. We appreciate you being here too. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Please like the video. Please share the video. This is going to remain public. We want as many people as possible listening to what we are talking about here and actually taking action. So, thank you so much. And I will see you all on Monday. Thanks, Tawana. Thanks, Karen.